So Australia was founded as a representative democracy, and that can work, provided the people who are the electors also own the substantial controlling shareholdings of the corporations and in the banks that issue private credit, which Australia hasn't had for quite some time. Global investors hostile to Australians have through various banks and hedge funds, some on the right-hand side there, with the help of our sellout politicians, have taken controlling stakes in our banks and our corporations. And then through, threat of just crashing the economy while they're in office, that's enough to get the politicians on side, but also direct bribes through post-political careers in the private industry. And they've also bought up the media, which can determine who's also going to be in office. And over the last couple of years, they're really starting to flex the control they have over all of our politicians through COVID and this climate hoax. And there they are, sucking the blood out of the nation. And hedge funds and banks and corporations, they think representative democracy is great because they're being represented, or they're global investors, but it's failing the people. So what you really need for the people to take back control is direct democracy like they've got in Switzerland. And that's a lot of work and high maintenance, constant vigilance, constantly being engaged in politics all the time. And look, I don't want to be engaged in politics all the time. Like most Aussies, I just would rather outsource it to someone you can trust, which we don't have at the moment, and then just go to the footy, have a few beers, do your work or whatever, spend time with your family, have a bit of a look in on politics, but you don't want it to be part of your life. You don't want to be constantly making decisions on every little thing that's going on. But there is the perfect solution, and oddly, I think unbeknownst to them, the hedge funds and banks and politicians and the media that are pushing this voice thing, well, they've come up with the perfect solution. And they haven't just come up with it. They've almost written it for us. They've done all the work. It's so perfect. I've had a look at this. I've done a lot of thinking about it. I don't think it can miss. All we've got to do is get it over the line. So I'll show you what it is. And it's to do with the voice, that they couldn't have worded it any better for us. So here's the question. Recognising the Indigenous people in the Constitution. And here's that entire chapter they want to include. And I've been over this a few times, but I'll just sum it up in that what they're actually going to have is they're going to have veto over the Parliament to have laws made for themselves and in partnership with global investors by treaties and whatever else they're going to do. So vetoing Parliament when you need to, like you're not constantly with direct democracy there all the time, but when you need to, you just step in. And just with anything with COVID, you'd love to have just gone, no lockdowns, no transfer of hundreds of billions, no, it's over. And if that was in the Constitution, I mean, how perfect would that be? But you can get it. All you got to do is take all the fantastic work that they've done, and I say fantastic for them because that's what they think. But if you change the word, it becomes fantastic for us. The whole concept of this veto entity, I'll never have thought of it. But it's genius. So all you do is change the question as it is at the top for the Indigenous voice, where they're recognised, to the one at the bottom. A proposed law to alter the Constitution to recognise, beautiful, all peoples of Australia, peoples. So peoples is there twice to recognise us as a collective and also as individuals enshrined in the Constitution. So ahead of foreign interests. Boy, these foreigners aren't going to like that. By establishing, see, the two groups that they want to have is the Indigenous, who they're going to be above the rest because we're not mentioned. Well, all you're doing is taking two entities, but including us with the Indigenous as being all peoples, and then relegating foreigners to where they wanted us to be. It's brilliant. By establishing, instead of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice, an all peoples of Australia veto voice. Oh, doesn't that have a ring to it? Oh, I love the sound of it. Continuing to build on all the good work these university Aboriginals, not the ones out in the sticks, but the privileged ones that are working with these globalists and corporations, all their good work, we just need to change it to a whole chapter so it can, push the parliamentarians around when you need to. It's got the authority and the executive, but just call it the veto voice. You recognise it for All People Australia. It should be a body called the All Peoples Australia veto voice. And then we can may make representations to the Parliament and the Executive. So we'll be going, so where the RBA was about to transfer $400 billion through the term funding facility and quantitative easing, the way the laws are going to be written in Part 3 there is nothing happens, say a threshold of, say, 500 million, or even less, say 300 million, anything over that can't happen unless it gets the okay by this veto voice. I'll just put up some models about how I think it could work, but they can't do anything. So, Philip Lowe, as the executive, because the RBA is part of Treasury, comes to the veto, comes to the people, go, oh, listen, I want to take $400 billion of public funds that you're going to have to pay back to banks and give it to, well, a lot of them same banks. So you're losing out two ways. Now, can I do that? Yeah, Philip, look, we've had a look at it. We've seen your proposals, and it's a big fat no. I mean, how much simpler is that than Rennick and Malcolm Roberts and Antics, speaking to an empty Senate, making fantastic points, but they can't achieve anything. They can try, but if they don't have the numbers in the Parliament, and the Parliament's controlled by the corporations, well, whereas this is like right at the top. This is the Constitution. Now, I put down at the start, a foreign interest. Yeah, sign the WHO treaty. Where you fucking go? Okay. Listen, veto voice. We've decided we want to lock everyone down and jab everyone again. Oh, really? Yeah, okay. We've had a look at your proposal. We were thinking back to what happened to COVID, and another big fat no. With the power of the Constitution. Yeah, sign your treaty, sign anything you want. But we're at the top. We just veto it. Oh, it's just, you get this across the line, all our problems are friggin' solved. And it could be proactive. The veto voice could go, listen, we're coming to the executive, we go to the Treasury, we go, we want our bank back, a Commonwealth Bank, but just made a post office bank. Just make that happen. Well, what power have you got? Well, the Constitution. So it says chapter 9, the veto voice, you got to do it. So get cracking, give us our bank back. We'll start to sort out the ownership of media. Helen Coonan scrapped all that back in 2007. That's how the foreigners got control. Reintroduce it. Oh, yeah, we've repealed all of those things that Coonan did. And, they're going to have to divest themselves. We have to have Australians owning the media again. I mean, you can do anything you want. And they're not telling us what their Indigenous voice is going to look like, that entity. Well, we don't have to mention it here. We just get this over the line. What I was thinking of, though, you'd probably need... You couldn't have the same people in it all the time, or the global investors would just pay them off and blackmail them, and a couple of get killed, and, well, do you want to be rich or dead? It's up to you, or compromise them with, certain, unsavoury situations and blackmail them, how they work. So what you do, the best, just thinking off the top of my head, this was a little while ago, I come up with this, is that you get, say, from the big states, 2,000 people, say for a 6-month period, you get conscripted to the voice. You get compensated, fully compensated. Your job, your employer gets compensated, and you spend 6 months like jury duty, just straight from the electoral roll, totally random. So you end up with 2,006, say 12,000 people, and whatever the business of the day comes up, either reaction or, the Australia Post Bank. So they will take submissions from the public and they will do a review, and that collectively all those people will vote and come up with a resolution, and send a directive to the Parliament. Just pass this law, thank you very much. That's the veto that we've got. It's direct democracy, but it's only when you need to. You're not constantly looking at it, and with control of the media, it'd be a nirvana. You'd be sitting at work, and you get a message, you got your veto voice app. Oh, yeah, what's going on? Oh, what does the Reserve Bank want to do? You could just log on, submit your thing to the inquiry. They'll get it. Yeah, people don't like the look of this. Neither do we. Sorry, whoever that new RBA. And we can even say, listen, you said the cash rate wasn't going to go up till 2024. So we're going to make you stick to that. So you just lower the cash rate back down. Oh, the market, you don't get derivative. That'll all work itself out. We'll just drive it. And then the markets and all of you foreign investors. And then what you'd also do is do the work of the Foreign Investment Review Board. Just give them a directive. We want the top 50 ASX companies to have less than 5% foreign ownership. So they've got 20 years to divest themselves, give them a chance to sell off. You don't want a big crash in the stock market. You don't want to allow super funds to go under. And, they may even try that. They'll try anything, but just keep modifying the laws to just ease them out. I'm going to build missiles with the Americans. Yeah, listen, we've got some feedback on that. A big fat no. Anyone think it's a good idea? Oh, I think it's a fantastic. They've done it's right in front of us. They've walked up to us. God, here's your solution. Oh, well, it's ours, but you just need to change it and it's yours. Just do it. I'm going to try and work out how to get this across the line and make this my life's ambition. The referendum council, let's go to them. We'll set up our own. Go to the power, and just get the majority of people. Go. Who wouldn't want this? There wouldn't be one. You go to anyone in a pub. Would this sound like a good idea to you? Yeah, it does. And they came up with it for us. Oh, tell me what you think in the comments.